Hi, I'm Caroline Williams from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. You're watching HWWS Web TV. Who are you hanging with?
Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome back to the Hanging With Web Show. I'm GW Pomichter. Thank you so much for logging on and tuning in. Or they click buttons. The internet is full of these crazy places, and I don't know how they ended up in the seedy part of town, but that's where you are now, because we are at Fantasm, Orlando, right here, right down the street from beautiful International Drive, at the Rosen
Shingle Springs Resort.
That's right. We're hanging out right now with actor Michael Berryman. You guys will know him from The Hills Have. Look, this weekend's about horror, and if you guys don't know who Michael is, what are you doing?
You might be very young.
It's possible. Yeah, they could be. Yeah. Michael, thank you so much for coming out and hanging out with us, man. So, well, let for the young ones, we got to let these young folks know. When did you start working in horror, man?
Well,
when did you start working as an actor?
I started working as an actor, but not being in the union when I was very young. Actually, what I mean by that is that in my youth, in what would be second grade, I actually had an appearance change. I had a haircut. My father was a Navy surgeon, and he went to Hiroshima. He came back. He was radiated, and I was born with a lot of medical situations, birth defects. Okay. So on a Saturday morning at about age 4, I had a haircut, and they reconstructed my skull. The reason I'm mentioning it is that Florida is a wonderful location for some fantastic charities.
Yes, it is.
And one in particular is the Bogey Creek gang, which I had the opportunity to go twice, which is started by Arnold Palmer, General Schwarzkopf, and Schwarzkopf, Arnold Palmer, and Paul Newman, who I met when I did The Crow. Mm-hmm. So that was a situation where families get a chance to have their children cared for with the medical procedures and paid for. Wow. Now, I never knew that was a situation until I started maturing and growing up after going to Children's Hospital, having a different look. Uh-huh. And when you're a child and you're trying to fit into society, you try very hard to be like everybody else. So
yeah, when you're younger, it's very much about kind of assimilation. Just kind of
exactly.
Being invisible is what you're kind of going for when you're young.
That's very true. So ironically, the opposite happened. I met a gentleman named George Powell in 1973 when I left University of California, and he said, "Are you an actor?" And I met him at an event. It was a sale, actually, for antiques. Go figure. And I said, "No, I'm not an actor, but who might you be?" And he said, "I'm George Powell." And then I said, "Well, do you know who you are? You did War of the Worlds, The Journey to the Center of the Earth, science fiction," which I always appreciated because science fiction takes the human condition outside of your common day-to-day life and gives you an opportunity to make choices and have a happy resolution. Well, horror does the same thing. So George gave me a part in a movie called Doc Savage. I worked 2 days. I had a union card, and his casting director was casting for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, of which, of course, was Jack Nicholson, Danny DeVito, and Oscars. After 4 months of that, I figured, this is intriguing to me.
This could be a thing.
It could be a thing.
Yeah.
And then I met a wonderful gentleman named Wes Craven. And Wes Craven put me in a movie called The Hills Have Eyes. And that's how horror began to provide for my family, and I actually got a paycheck for that. But the acting started very young when trying to become someone I was not, that I thought, meaning an average everyday Joe. Mm-hmm. And over time, you learn how to grow through that. And I've been blessed
to... Well, eventually you embrace who you are and how you are. And everything about yourself. Eventually you learn that the things that distinguish us aren't bad.
No, that is very true. Self-acceptance is super important. I work with a lot of school districts, and one of the biggest issues these days is bullying, which is very detrimental to all involved. Because even
well, we can tell you guys, it's not just these days that it's an issue, it's been an issue a long time. You guys are talking about it. Thank you. We didn't get to talk about it. Remember you came home and you said, they're picking on me, and Dad said, go beat them up. That'll make it better. And you're like, I don't think I should do that. I don't think that's really what I'm going for here, but today they're talking more about this issue.
It's very important.
Yeah.
And self-acceptance and awareness that other people have feelings. When I was very young, I had, in the 50s and early 60s, I was in grammar school and getting into junior high school. And we, as children, didn't have a lot of skill, didn't have a large skill set. And by that, what I mean is, I would get upset for fair reasons because someone's being mean, but I didn't know how to react to the other person.
Yeah.
So I had a temper, and I would get in people's faces, which is not always the best solution, but it's all I had. Over time, and now it's very important with what's been happening in schools, it's very important for people to understand our common humanity. And that is why I really like being a horror icon, because I can scare you, and my character can present a challenge to you, and then you get to conquer the situation and be, quote, heroic. I tended toward superheroes and comics as a young child because that was the same process. How do you fix a situation? How do you make it better for everyone?
Wow, that's awesome. And you know, you have you've done so many roles, and you have had, icon is a good word, because you are a staple of the horror community now.
I'm old.
Me too. It's okay. We've accepted, again, self-acceptance, guys. We know who we are. But you know, with a career that spans that way, and you've gotten to meet some amazing people,
yes,
and play some amazing parts. What is if someone comes up to you and immediately recognizes anything, what's the part that you're most recognized for? Or does that depend on the environment, or? It
depends on the genre. The strong ones, of course, are Cuckoo's Nest, The Hills Have Eyes, Weird Science, comedy, of course.
That's where I first saw, I think.
Motley Crue, Smoking in the Boys' Room, Watch My Ears. Silliness, silly, you have to laugh.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Worked with Michael Landon, Cheryl Ladd, Brandon Lee in The Crow.
In The Crow, yeah.
George Takei is a good friend. Again, the variety of roles is a blessing. The opportunity to care for my family is a blessing. Thank you, George. I always thank George
That
Powell
one moment, George Powell
changed my life.
That's what an amazing, you know, things change on a dime sometimes.
Yes,
and
they can.
There it is. And so, what is your fondest memory on set? What is the thing that stands out? The long career and a storied career that you have, what is the moment on set that you just, again, like you said, there was a moment when you just knew, there's something here. I might be doing this for a while. What was that moment for you?
There are two moments. Technically and professionally, when Milos Forman, the director of The Hills Have Eyes, I asked him during our 2 weeks of rehearsal, I said, what do I need to know about, this is not theater, what do I need to know about this device called a camera? He walked me up in front of a camera, Panavision camera. He's puffing on his pipe, and he said, I'm standing right in front of this beautiful camera, and he says, I want you to have a love affair with the glass. And then he handed me a book on cinematography. Being a science buff, I studied it, and it's something, if you're an actor or you do anything in front of a camera, it's good to know what they do. I got to look through the camera, and a lot of pieces of the puzzle fit together. That was a blessing. The most significant early on was working with Michael Landon, and I had studied, I knew my lines, I knew everybody's lines, and we're doing our scene, and all of a sudden, in my mind, I go, he's going to say this, he's going to say that, and I say this, and when it came my time, all of a sudden, my mind went blank. And a few seconds went by, and Michael says, cut, and there's the script lady, and I go, yeah, right, of course. And Michael's going, And I go, yeah, ready. We do it again. We nail it. He goes, great,
Nice.
moving on. We're moving on to the next setup, and Michael Landon puts his hand on my shoulder, and here's what he says. You're doing fine, but we all forget our lines occasionally. And the way he said it was, that'll never happen again, will it? So we're having lunch, and he comes up and he says, I only hired the best people. You were hired. You're doing a fantastic job. Thank you. But I like to have my camera and my crew to be able to sit down and have dinner with their family in Los Angeles and beat the traffic. So it is a family of television, film, and commercial.
Oh, there's
people.
a lot going on back there.
There's a lot going on.
We get to do this.
Yes.
And if you don't know what those guys over there are doing or going through or need to get home or whatever,
How may I help you? The crybabies and the ones that are, you know, I need no green jelly beans in my in my bowl, or I will be upset. The prima donnas don't show up to work. We don't really. It's not necessary.
Yeah, no,
So
it's a lot better to work as a team.
Professional.
Yes.
You work as a team, and it becomes family. And over the years, coming to shows or traveling, you will meet a friend that you worked with many years ago, and there's that instant connection, which leaves you with a really good feeling.
That is awesome. That is really amazing. Now, we're here at Fantasm Orlando. It is the month of October. It is Halloween month, and we are kicking it off. Do you, Michael, have any Halloween traditions? Anything that you guys at the family like to do for Halloween?
Well, all of my kids.
I mean, you spend all of your time working, scaring people. What do you do on Halloween?
Scare people.
Scare people more, no?
October is a busy month. We don't do trick-or-treating. The kids are all in their 30s. So I'm usually gone every weekend in the month of October, just because it fits the genre.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's bills to pay.
Yeah, every once in a while. You know
it's a
those kids
business.
at the door, they want candy and you have to buy that. That's
Right.
what they keep telling me.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to take it from the neighbors. I'm supposed to buy it and give it to the kids. That's what they keep telling me. Michael, thank you so much for hanging out with us, man. Guys, we're going to wrap it up. We're going to say thank you to our partners and our friends at Famous Faces and Funny, Space Coast Comics, Indie Originals, our great friend Josh Bauer at J. Bauer Art for all these great pieces that are on our set this weekend, our great friends at the Foxwood Wine Company for these comfortable chairs, much
They're
better
wonderful.
than the director's chairs that I used to have to climb into because I'm little. Our great friends here in Orlando, Florida at Hearts Helping Others of Central Florida, and our friends over at Krypton Radio. Thank you guys for sharing these videos all over the World Wide Web. We hope you will do the same. We are at Fantasm Orlando all weekend long. We've been hanging out with Michael Berryman.
See you here.
That's right, guys. Stay tuned in and stay logged on and see who we're hanging with next. Awesome, Michael.
Good,
thank
great.
you so much.
Great
That was
bookend.
fantastic.